What would you be doing if you didn't become a musician?
Probably a farmer.
Farmer. I know you're a fan of biographies and documentaries. What are a few of your favorites?
Well, I like Down to Earth on Netflix,
Zac Efron?
with Zac Efron, and I also like a lot of the musical documentaries on there. One of them that comes to mind is the Keith Richards one and the Leonard Skinner one.
What's funny is during the pandemic, I went to see a therapist just to help with, we're all isolated and mental health. And she told me, I think you should watch Down to Earth with Zac Efron because the other guy he's with, Darren Olean or something like
Yeah.
that, said, I think you could learn a lot from him. Like you remind me of him and you should see the good that he's doing. So my therapist made me watch a
Well,
documentary that you
did you
like.
get his book? He's got
I,
a crazy book, Super Life, I think it's called.
I read that during the pandemic. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
It's
that's
more
the
than
kind of
just,
farmer. That's the kind of farmer I'd be, actually.
yeah, more than just nutrition. It's like a way of
Yeah,
life
yeah.
and how to be healthy and fitness and all that. Next question. Did you ever get to a point where you seriously considered quitting the music business?
Yes, but I had nowhere else to look, so I looked back and I said, no way, I can never quit the music business.
So you have a young daughter. In what ways did becoming a father change you?
Oh man,
That could be a full 2-hour deep dive, another
yeah.
episode.
Again, it's made me a better person, and it's made me look at myself from a different perspective, and it's making me analyze situations in a different way and in a better way for sure, for everybody for sure.
Does your daughter think you're a rock star or are you just some schmuck at home?
Well, for now, she thinks I'm a rock star because she sees me on TV, but she's still young, so I'm sure the time will come.
Rumor has it that you're passionate about pizza making. Is this true? And how did you get into it if it is true?
100% true. I don't know how I got into it, to be honest. I got an uni oven, a wood pellet fired oven, and man, it's changed my life.
Who would you say are your all-time favorite artists? So you mentioned Aerosmith a lot. Any other bands or artists?
My all-time, yeah, Aerosmith definitely on the top. There's as singers, there's Bob Seger, there's the Faces, and I would definitely have to say, obviously, there's the obvious Beatles and Hendrix for sure.
Which bands or musicians were you the biggest fan of that you've ended up being on the same bill with? So you mentioned like CCR, which is crazy. Anyone else that you actually ended up being on the same stage as?
Possibly Buddy Guy or Johnny Winter.
What's the biggest crowd that you've performed to, and what does it feel like to play to a crowd of that size?
Biggest crowd must have been around 100,000 people at the Plains of Abraham in Quebec City when I was 16, and it was crazy.
This is a festival or?
Yeah, well, it's La Saint-Jean-Baptiste. So in Quebec, they have this kind of once a year. It's like Canada Day, but for Quebec, and they have a giant TV show and the biggest artists that come from Quebec, and I was invited to that show after my first album, and we paid homage to Plume La Traverse, which is one of the biggest Quebec artists, and I sang one of his most popular songs, and I started singing it, and I heard 100,000 people sing the same song with me, and it wasn't my song, but it definitely changed me forever. That feeling is like something I've been looking to like reproduce ever since, and it's definitely a thrill for sure. There's something about having everybody on the same page doing the same thing, that many people at the same time. That's amazing. That's powerful.
Are there any artists or bands that you listen to that would surprise our listeners? Like maybe a guilty pleasure, like I like Justin Bieber, I like Taylor Swift, things that, people see you as the rock guy. Is there anything else you listen to that might shock our listeners?
Yeah, probably Sia.
Yeah. Some good pop music.
Some good pop music. I got into that more or less because of the producing side of things. And in a weird way, I don't know if I should say this, but I feel like Sia is like almost like a female version of Steven Tyler in her singing. She's like it's wide open at all times, the intensity, and I really appreciate that. It's like, yeah, great.
Yeah, she's a great singer and a great songwriter and a very
Yeah,
unique performer, right? Never
very
showing her
unique. Yeah,
face on
exactly.
stage.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, are there any other musicians that deserve our attention that maybe our listeners aren't familiar with? So maybe someone, one person or band you can think of that you know is incredible that you think more people should be aware of. So just a chance to give a shout out to somebody.
Oh man, for sure. I mean, he's known, but every time I see him, he does something to me. Lucas Nelson, Willie Nelson's son. In my head, he's pretty big, but I talk about him to a lot of people, and they don't know him at all. And I love his songwriting, love his voice. Also, like who I think he is as a person. I don't know him personally, but throughout some of his podcasts and some stuff he's done, I can really relate to him, and I feel a lot more people should know, his way of viewing the world. And yeah, Lucas Nelson.
I didn't even know that Willie Nelson had a son that was a musician,
There
and
you go.
I'm a massive music fan. So that
Oh yeah, check him out.
maybe that suggestion is more for me that I
And
need to
the
go
weird
listen
thing
to
is
that.
he's my age, and we didn't get to talk about this very much, but I got to learn how to play guitar watching Stevie Ray Vaughan live at Austin City Limits and Jimi Hendrix experience the album. And I read in an interview, his mom bought him that same VHS, and he listened to the same Jimi Hendrix compilation, and we're the same age. And there's a connection there that I don't know how it's made, but yeah, he's now doing country, but he did a lot of rock and roll stuff. You should definitely check him out for sure.
If you could sit down with anybody for a conversation, they could be living or dead, who would it be and why?
Ooh, man. Probably he's probably still living. Well, he is still living. Steven Tyler. He's had a major influence on my life. Just being who he is as a rock star, and had the chance to to meet the guys from Aerosmith, but not Steven Tyler. And I love to pick his brain on certain things.
Three more rapid fire questions. What is your biggest fear?
Oof, man. I don't know.
Sharks. No?
Not even. My biggest. I don't have a. I don't.
No
I guess.
fear? Fearless.
I'm not fearless. Losing my hands, not being able to play guitar.
That's a legit fear.
That's yeah. All right. Yeah, because I don't really have any other. Like, I'm not afraid of death, or I'm not afraid of many things. I enjoy life every day as much as I can. But if I had to lose my hands and still live without those, I feel like I lose my voice, and I would probably lose touch with the world in a weird way. So that would be my biggest fear, I think.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to play. You'd still be able to listen to music. So I think if you lost your
Oh,
hands and your hearing, that would be game
yeah,
over probably. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What's this is getting very dark now. So what's the best live concert you've ever seen? So just any concert you've seen that is just mind blowing.
Aerosmith
I should have
in their
thought.
good days.
Yeah, I should have assumed that would have been the answer.
In their good days, yeah.
Yeah, final rapid fire question. Let's say you are wrongfully accused and you somehow find yourself on death row and you get one final death row meal. You can eat anything. You can have a drink with it. You can have a dessert. It's your final death row meal. What do you choose?
Oh, pizza.
Oh,
And if I could choose which pizza, probably either my own that I'd make,
it's
or a
that
pizza
good.
from Pizza Bianco.
Pizza Bianco. Where's that?
Oh man, he's one of the best pizza gurus around. He's on Netflix. He went to eat some of his pizza in Phoenix, Arizona.